Welcome to a series of videos I'm making on TSM The Sinclair Method. If you're not interested in alcohol misuse treatment, skip any video that has TSM in the title. If you are interested in something radical, something paradoxical, something miraculous, these are for you. I am going to be using my pause function on my phone for this series of videos. I don't normally, so I hope that's not disconcerting. It's just, because of the subject matter and the information that I want to get across. So who was David Sinclair? Well, David Sinclair was an American psychiatrist, Dr. David Sinclair. He began research in the 60s and went to Helsinki, where his funding was, I guess, to continue research in the 70s and 80s. Dr. Sinclair unfortunately doesn't walk this earth with us, but there are many people in this world who own their lives, and if that's something you're interested in, and saving your own life without detox, without just using willpower, hang out for this series of talks. It really is just my opinion. It's a little bit of information. It's to get you started. It's some of my experience, any resources and that sort of thing that I can share. That's just what these are about. So get ready to change your life. So I've written some notes and I'll just read them because it's just a little bit about how the treatment actually works in the brain. Because alcohol misuse, alcoholism, it's a learning issue, and what we learn as we use alcohol is we learn to get that reward and that pleasure. Genetics can intensify this, and that's certainly true, but it's not true that alcohol is the misuse of it is just passed down genetically only. Yes, so now Sinclair method uses naltrexone. Now it's not that naltrexone isn't something that has been tried and tested and found wanting. It's the fact that naltrexone needs to be used in this method, and then that's where the efficacy comes in. So think about it. There are organizations worldwide, big organizations. There are medical community members and all sorts of drug companies, etc., that of course would not want you to know about TSM because they can't sell their drugs. They can't sell the further drugs that you need because of your alcoholism. They can't give you ongoing therapy because you don't need it. And they can't take you into their treatment center because you don't need it. They can't have you come lifelong meetings because you don't need them. You're welcome to do them, and some people do it concurrently with groups such as AA. So opioids, we all know about them. Let's just talk about it. So an opioids are a family of medications that are used for pain relief. So we're talking about heroin, codeine, methadone, OxyContin, Vicodin, Percocet. Not only do they give you pain relief, they can be used to give you pleasure. And we all know commonly opioids, also have street value for these reasons. So these opioid drugs are similar to chemicals that occur naturally in our brains called endorphins. So endorphins are what give us pleasure, give us pain relief. So endorphins function as neurotransmitters, chemicals that signal to neurons, activating them to send electrical signals or inhibit the signals. The molecules of endorphins are at the end of neurons. They're floating in space, and that space is called a synapse or a synapse. So they're floating over the start of another neuron that has little structures on it called receptors. This receptor either answers the knock on the door, but this depends on the chemical conversation they had, because it doesn't have to answer that knock on the door. So opioids are agonists, and I think that is completely apt. So opioids are agonists for endorphin receptors. This means receptors cannot tell the difference. It will welcome them in for pleasure, and it will welcome them in for pain release or relief. An opioid antagonist drug, such as naltrexone, it has the opposite function. It doesn't create pain feelings, but it does take away the pleasure feelings. Complete Debbie Downer. This is the behind the scenes function that David Sinclair exploited. So this is really important. It is important to use a short-acting opioid antagonist. And why? What does short-acting mean? It means it arrives on the scene very quickly and it fades away quickly. So it's up and out. Why is this important? Well, you don't want to be blocking your pleasure center. You don't want to be affecting other things in your life that you want to enjoy, because you don't want to send yourself into a depression, into a depressed state. We do not want to remove luster and lust and joy from our life. And in fact, you will get those things back if you are missing them, if you use the Sinclair method. So imagine if you had a long-acting drug that, a slow release that sort of came into your system slowly. So you start drinking your alcohol and it's slowly fading away. The drug is slowly fading away out of your system as well. Well, what happens when the next day you're supposed to be taking your kids fishing or going for a motorcycle ride, or want to do something else, whatever it is enjoyable for you, exercise or sex or any activity, reading a book. So we want to reduce the consequences, the negative consequences on your life. That's why, so TSM pairs the short-acting opioid antagonist with drinking alcohol. And this is where your unlearning begins, your extinction begins. The reward is censored from the action. Excuse me. There are some, it's a complete paradox. This is, so because you're not asked to just stop drinking alcohol. In fact, you need to keep drinking. The compliance comes from taking your naltrexone 1 hour before you begin drinking. Okay, and you just do that each and every time without fail. Now, if you start naltrexone treatment in this manner and you then decide to drink without taking naltrexone, the receptors in your brain, they've multiplied because they've panicked, and it's going to do everything it can to find those pleasure feelings again. So you've got multiplied receptors now. If you go and have that alcohol, it's very, very dangerous. It's called upregulation. I've written here that it's, the brain turning up sensitivity. Yeah. So compliance is really vital because it could set you really back, and it can have some, it can magnify some really dangerous effects. So just start getting into your mind, just start mulling this over and go through maybe just this little series of videos, and then start looking around for information. Be really sure, because commit, because I'm going to talk about the things you lose as well, but there's so much more to gain. I mean, the thrill is going to be gone, but all we know the agony of alcohol addiction. So, you know, the buzz versus agony versus so much grief and loss. It's really something to consider. Thanks for listening. I'll be back soon with some more videos on this. If you do find this video and you've got some questions, just write some comments. I will answer them. If it's a subject I'm going to talk about, I'll let you know that I'm making a video on it. Yeah, but let's just get this conversation started. Let's reduce the stigma of talking about alcohol misuse. And, this is exciting stuff, okay? This is going to change your life. It is a complete miracle. If you're someone that's, tried to quit over and over again, I'd cut down, I'd stop for a while. Let's face it, that is going to be the rest of your life, okay? If you truly want to quit, this is the way to do it. I promise you, without that agony afterwards, without that craving, without that need, without that thought, something bad happens in your life, you do not even think of alcohol. You want to drive past a bottle shop? You can do it. You don't want to have to walk out of your house at midnight and go and get more booze? Great. Your life is your life. You've got all your own situations, reasons, outcomes, just like I had in mine. So, but this is really for everybody. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you later.